Digital detective work. How to catch criminals through their computers like Mr. Robot meets CSI, and why AI won't replace you if you master this. When bookkeepers become obsolete, but you don't. The AI revolution. That's your opportunity. Mark Negrini dropped a truth bomb that should terrify traditional accountants. There's a 97.6% chance that bookkeepers will be replaced by AI. That's not a prediction, that's a countdown timer to irrelevance. But here's what they don't tell you in those doom and gloom articles. While AI is replacing data entry clerks, it's creating massive demand for people who can use AI to catch criminals. You're not training to be replaced, you're training to be irreplaceable. Think about it like this. AI can process millions of transactions in seconds, but it can't testify in court. It can find anomalies, but it can't interrogate suspects about those anomalies. It can detect patterns, but it can't understand criminal intent. Every advancement in AI that eliminates a bookkeeping job creates a forensic opportunity for someone who knows how to weaponize that technology against fraud. You're not competing with robots, you're commanding them. You're the general, they're your army. The shift from rules-based compliance to AI-driven forensics is like going from playing checkers to playing 4D chess. Old-school auditors looked for ghost employees by checking if social security numbers were valid. Now, we use machine learning to analyze login patterns, keystroke dynamics, and email sentiment to identify not just ghost employees, but employees who are about to become ghosts. We don't just find fraud that happened, we predict fraud that's about to happen. Companies aren't paying for people who can follow audit checklists anymore. They're paying premium prices for people who can turn technology into a weapon against financial crime. Starting salary for IT forensic specialists, $90,000. With certifications and experience, $150,000 to $250,000. Learn to code and investigate. Name your price. Digital evidence your computer never forgets, even when you do. The permanent record of crime. Every click, every keystroke, every deleted file is evidence waiting to be discovered. Your computer is basically a snitch that keeps detailed notes about everything you've ever done. Think you deleted those fraudulent invoices? They're sitting in unallocated disk space like ghosts waiting to testify. Cleared your browser history? The registry still remembers. Used incognito mode? Your RAM doesn't care about your privacy settings. The beautiful thing about digital evidence is that criminals always underestimate it. They think hitting delete is like shredding paper, but it's more like putting paper in the recycling bin, where anyone with the right tools can pull it back out. We're talking about recovering emails that were permanently deleted, finding files that were overwritten 3 times, pulling data from devices that were factory reset. One fraudster threw his laptop in a lake to destroy evidence. We recovered everything from the cloud backups he forgot existed. Water damages hardware, not data that's already synchronized. But here's the catch that separates professionals from amateurs. Digital evidence is like ice cream in the sun. Handle it wrong, and it melts into nothing. Break the chain of custody, inadmissible. Don't document your extraction methods, worthless. Modify even one timestamp accidentally. The entire investigation is compromised. This isn't just about finding evidence, it's about finding it in a way that survives legal scrutiny. One investigator found definitive proof of a $10 million fraud, but forgot to document their hash values. The evidence was thrown out, the criminal walked free, and the investigator's career ended. Digital forensics isn't just technical, it's procedural. And the procedure is what determines whether criminals get convicted or promoted. The black box versus white box approach. X-ray, vision for systems. IT auditing comes in 2 flavors, like choosing between watching a magic show from the audience, black box, or from backstage, white box. Black box testing is when you examine what goes in and what comes out without knowing what happens in the middle. White box testing is when you crack open the system and see exactly how the sausage is made. Both find fraud, but they find different frauds in different ways. Black box testing is like being a customer, checking if the vending machine gives correct change. You put in money, you get product and change, you verify it's right. You don't need to know how the machine works internally, just whether it's honest. This approach tests system integrity without technical deep dives. Feed the payroll system, test data, see if paychecks calculate correctly. Submit fake invoices, see if controls catch them. It's behavioral testing, and it catches behavioral fraud. One auditor discovered a procurement system that automatically approved any invoice under $9,999 by submitting hundreds of $9,998 invoices for testing supplies. The system failed the test, and so did the CFO who designed it that way. White box testing is like having the vending machine's source code, circuit diagrams, and maintenance logs. You see every calculation, every decision tree, every place where someone could insert malicious code. This is where you find the sophisticated frauds, the ones built into the system architecture. You're examining audit trails, testing data integrity, looking for backdoors and bypasses. One white box test revealed that a developer had inserted code that rounded all transactions down, but sent the rounded amounts to a specific account. Over 5 years, those fractions of pennies added up to $2.3 million. It's the digital version of Superman 3, except it actually happened and someone actually went to prison. The digital locks criminals love to pick. Your security architecture. IT controls are like the security system for your digital house, and just like physical security, criminals spend all their time figuring out how to bypass them. We're not talking about passwords, though those matter. We're talking about the entire ecosystem of controls that should prevent, detect, and correct fraud. The problem? Most companies have IT controls, like people have gym memberships. They exist, but nobody uses them properly. General IT controls cover the big picture. Who has access to what, how changes are approved, how data is backed up, how disasters are handled. These are your foundation controls, and when they're weak, everything built on top crumbles. One company had beautiful application controls, but gave administrator access to everyone in accounting. That's like having a state-of-the-art alarm system, but giving everyone the code. A junior accountant used admin access to approve their own expense reports for 2 years, including a business trip to Coachella. Application controls are specific to individual systems. Your SAP controls, your Oracle controls, your QuickBooks controls. These include input controls, validation rules, processing controls, calculation checks, and output controls, report restrictions. But here's where it gets spicy. The best fraudsters don't break controls, they use them. They learn exactly what the controls check and design their fraud to fly under the radar. Controls check for duplicate invoice numbers. They add letters. Controls flag amounts over $10,000. Everything's $9,999. Controls require 2 approvals. They create 2 fake approvers. Understanding controls isn't just about implementing them. It's about thinking like someone trying to defeat them. Data integrity, garbage in, fraud out. Trust but verify everything. Data integrity in fraud examination is like DNA evidence in murder cases. If it's contaminated, the entire case falls apart. You can have the best analytics, the smartest algorithms, the most expensive software, but if your data has integrity issues, you're just finding very sophisticated patterns in garbage. It's like using a metal detector on a beach made of metal. You'll find something, but it won't mean anything. The garbage in, garbage out principle becomes fraud in, prison out when you're doing forensic work. Every data source needs to be validated, authenticated, and verified. Where did this data come from? Who had access to modify it? What controls ensure its accuracy? How do we know it hasn't been tampered with? One investigation used HR data to identify ghost employees, but nobody verified the HR data itself. Turns out the HR manager had been adding fake employees for years. They were using fraudulent data to find fraud, like using a counterfeit bill detector that's also counterfeit. Proving data integrity requires understanding data lineage, like tracing a river back to its source. You need to document every transformation, every system it passed through, every person who touched it. Hash values become your best friend. Cryptographic proof that data hasn't changed. Timestamps tell stories about when things really happened versus when someone claims they happened. One forensic examiner proved fraud by showing that January invoices had creation timestamps in March after the audit was announced. The metadata exposed what the data tried to hide. In digital forensics, data integrity isn't just important, it's everything. Encase and digital recovery, bringing dead files back to life. Zombie data that convicts. Encase is like a necromancer for data, bringing dead files back from the digital grave to testify against their creators. This isn't your basic undelete software that your roommate uses to recover their term paper. This is military-grade forensic software that can find data that's been deleted, overwritten, encrypted, and hidden in places you didn't know existed. It's the difference between a metal detector and ground-penetrating radar. When you delete a file, you're not destroying it. You're just telling the computer it can use that space for something else. Until it actually does, that deleted file is sitting there like a ghost in the machine. Encase can see these ghosts, read them, and present them as evidence. One embezzler deleted thousands of emails about their fraud scheme. Encase recovered all of them, including the one where they wrote, "Delete this," after reading. They didn't delete it properly either. The recovered emails became the prosecution's star witness. But Encase does more than recover deleted files. It finds hidden partitions where criminals think data is safe. It cracks password-protected files that suspects thought were unbreakable. It creates forensic images of entire drives that are legally admissible, exact copies. It maintains chain of custody automatically, documenting every action for court. One investigator used Encase to find a hidden TrueCrypt volume on a CFO's computer containing the real books, while the official books were fiction. The CFO thought military-grade encryption would protect them. They were wrong. Encase didn't break the encryption. It found the password in the computer's hibernation file. Even encryption can't protect you from your own computer's memory. Recovering deleted emails, the graveyard speaks. Your Outlook tells stories. Deleted emails are like zombies in horror movies. They always come back when you least expect it. Everyone thinks emptying their deleted items folder is like flushing evidence down the digital toilet. In reality, it's more like hiding evidence in your attic. Out of sight, but definitely not gone. Email recovery has sent more white-collar criminals to prison than any other type of digital evidence because people write things in emails they'd never say out loud. Email systems store messages in container files like boxes holding letters. When you delete an email, you're removing the letter from the index, not destroying the letter itself. Until the container is compressed, called compaction, those deleted emails are just marked invisible. Even after compaction, fragments remain in unallocated space, in backup files, in archived PST files that IT creates without telling anyone. One fraud investigation recovered emails from 6 years ago that the suspect thought were gone forever. The emails detailed the entire fraud scheme like they were writing a how-to manual. The e-discovery rules make email recovery even more powerful. Companies are required to preserve emails for litigation holds, even if employees delete them. That means somewhere in the corporate infrastructure, those incriminating emails exist. One employee sued for wrongful termination, claiming they were fired without cause. The company recovered deleted emails where the employee admitted to stealing trade secrets and selling them to competitors. The lawsuit became a criminal prosecution. Your email isn't private, it isn't temporary, and it definitely isn't gone when you delete it. It's evidence waiting to be discovered. The rifle shot approach, surgical strikes on data. Precision over volume. The rifle shot approach to digital forensics is like being a sniper instead of using a shotgun. You don't examine every piece of data, that would take forever. You identify high-risk areas and strike with precision. It's the difference between reading every book in the library versus knowing exactly which book contains the answer you need. In a world of big data, precision beats volume every time. This approach requires understanding what you're hunting before you start hunting. What type of fraud are you investigating? Where would evidence most likely exist? What systems would be involved? What user accounts would have access? Instead of imaging entire servers, terabytes of data, you target specific databases, specific tables, specific date ranges. One investigator looking for procurement fraud didn't examine all purchase orders. They targeted only orders placed on Fridays after 3 p.m., orders just under approval thresholds, and orders from vendors created in the last 90 days. Those three filters, representing 0.1% of total data, found 100% of the fraud. The key to the rifle shot approach is hypothesis-driven investigation. Form a theory, identify where evidence would exist if the theory is true, extract only that data, analyze it, refine your theory, repeat. It's like solving a murder mystery by only examining relevant clues instead of fingerprinting the entire city. One forensic examiner investigating expense fraud didn't review all expenses. They only looked at expenses submitted within 24 hours of credit card statement dates, when people scrambled to justify personal charges. That narrow focus found $400,000 in fraud that broad analysis would have missed in the noise. Data mining, finding needles in digital haystacks, pattern recognition at scale. Data mining for fraud is like having Superman's X-ray vision for spreadsheets. You're not looking at individual transactions anymore. You're looking at patterns, relationships, and anomalies across millions of records simultaneously. It's the difference between checking receipts one by one versus seeing all receipts at once and noticing the ones that glow red with fraud indicators. This is where human intuition meets machine processing power. Modern data mining uses machine learning algorithms that learn what normal looks like, then flag everything abnormal. But here's the secret. Fraudsters create patterns without realizing it. They submit expenses on the same day each month. They create invoices in sequential order. They use the same IP address for different vendors. They work at unusual hours when nobody's watching. These patterns are invisible to human review, but obvious to data mining algorithms. One algorithm detected fraud because it noticed that certain invoices were always created between 2 and 4 a.m. on weekends when the building's keycard system showed nobody was there. Ghost invoices created by ghost employees. The tools for data mining aren't just for tech giants anymore. Excel can run Benford's law analysis to detect manufactured numbers. IDEA and ACL can process millions of records on a laptop. Tableau can visualize fraud patterns that would be invisible in spreadsheets. Even free tools like Python and R can run sophisticated fraud detection algorithms. One student used Python to analyze their university's purchasing data for a class project and found $75,000 in duplicate payments. The university hired them before graduation at $85,000 starting salary. Data mining isn't just a skill, it's a career accelerator. Link analysis, connecting the dots, like a conspiracy theorist. Relationship mapping. Link analysis is like creating those conspiracy theory boards with red string connecting everything, except your conspiracies are real and admissible in court. You're mapping relationships between people, companies, transactions, and events to reveal hidden connections that expose fraud schemes. It's social network analysis for crime, showing how fraudsters who claim not to know each other are actually connected through 17 different links. The power of link analysis is revealing what criminals try hardest to hide: relationships. That vendor who keeps winning bids, they share an address with the procurement manager's mother. Those employees who never take vacation at the same time, they're running a fraud scheme that requires both of them present. Those random transactions that seem unrelated, they all flow through the same IP address. One link analysis revealed that 23 different vendor companies were all actually the same person using variations of their name. The visualization looked like a spider web with one person at the center, collecting from 23 directions. Software like IBM i2Analyst's Notebook turns raw data into visual networks that make complex fraud schemes obvious. You import data from multiple sources: financial records, phone records, email communications, social media, and the software shows you how everything connects. It's like having Facebook's friend suggestion, algorithm, but for fraud detection. One investigation used link analysis to show that a competitive bidding process wasn't competitive at all. The 3 bidding companies all had the same lawyer, same accountant, and their owners went to the same college. The visual evidence was so compelling that the jury understood the conspiracy in minutes. Excel, the fraud fighter's Swiss Army knife. Power tools everyone ignores. Excel isn't just for making boring spreadsheets your boss ignores. It's a forensic weapon that most people don't know how to use properly. While everyone else is using Excel like a calculator, you can use it like a forensic laboratory. We're talking about pivot tables that reveal fraud patterns, VLOOKUP that finds suspicious connections, and formulas that detect mathematical impossibilities. Excel is like carrying a concealed weapon that's legal in all 50 states. Benford's law in Excel can detect fake numbers in minutes. Real financial data follows predictable patterns for first digits. Fraudulent data doesn't. One auditor used Excel to analyze expense reports and found that 40% started with the number 9, should be 5%. Every employee was inflating expenses to just under the $100 approval threshold. Excel's conditional formatting can highlight anomalies automatically. Set it to flag duplicate invoice numbers, amounts just under thresholds, or dates that don't match business days. It's like having a fraud detective that works for free and never sleeps. The real power comes from Excel's ability to handle massive data sets that would crash lesser programs. Power Query can import and transform millions of records. Power Pivot can create relationships between multiple data sources. DAX formulas can calculate complex fraud indicators. One forensic accountant used Excel to analyze 5 years of transactions, 3 million rows, and identified $2 million in fraud using only built-in Excel functions. No expensive software, no specialized training, just Excel expertise that anyone can learn. The tool that's on every computer is also one of the most powerful fraud detection weapons if you know how to use it. ACL and IDEA, the professional's power tools, enterprise-grade detection. ACL and IDEA are like upgrading from a Honda Civic to a Ferrari. They'll both get you there, but one does it with style, speed, and capabilities you didn't know existed. These aren't spreadsheet programs, they're forensic platforms designed specifically to catch financial criminals. While Excel is great for many things, ACL and IDEA are built for war against fraud. ACL, Audit Command Language, is what Fortune 500 companies use when millions of dollars are at stake. It can connect directly to live databases, ensuring data integrity from source to analysis. It maintains a complete audit trail of every action, making your work legally defensible. It can process billions of records without breaking a sweat. One company used ACL to analyze 10 years of procurement data, 500 million transactions, and found $50 million in overpayments, duplicate payments, and fraudulent vendors. The analysis took 3 days. Manual review would have taken 30 years. IDEA brings artificial intelligence to fraud detection, learning from every investigation to get better at finding crime. It doesn't just run tests, it suggests which tests to run based on your data. It can import 190 plus file formats, so no more incompatible file type excuses. The Benford's law analysis is built in, along with gap detection, duplicate analysis, and statistical sampling. One auditor used IDEA to analyze a company's entire general ledger and found hidden journal entries that were invisible in the accounting system but obvious in IDEA. The entries were backdated attempts to hide revenue manipulation. The CFO went from corner office to federal prison. Visualization, making fraud visible to juries. Pictures worth millions. Data visualization in fraud cases is like translating a foreign language. You're taking complex financial crimes and making them understandable to people who think a pivot table is furniture. Tableau, Power BI, and other visualization tools turn spreadsheets into stories, patterns into pictures, and fraud into something a jury can see, understand, and convict on. A good visualization can be the difference between confusion and conviction. The power of visualization is that humans are visual creatures. We understand pictures faster than numbers. A heat map showing transaction concentrations immediately reveals unusual patterns. A timeline showing events makes complex schemes chronological. A network diagram showing relationships makes conspiracies obvious. One prosecutor said the case turned when they showed a visualization of money flow that looked like a hurricane, with the defendant at the eye of the storm. The jury got it instantly. But visualization isn't just for courtroom drama, it's an investigation tool. Patterns invisible in spreadsheets jump out in visualizations. That vendor who always bills on the 29th, obvious on a calendar heat map. Those transactions that spike every quarter end, clear on a time series chart. The relationship between the procurement manager and certain vendors, undeniable on a network diagram. One investigator discovered fraud simply by creating a geographic map of vendor addresses. 17 vendors were registered to residential addresses within a 2-mile radius of the procurement manager's house. The visualization revealed what spreadsheets hid: a neighborhood fraud ring. Case management software, your digital war room. Command and control. Case management software is like having a military command center for your investigation. Instead of sticky notes, random Excel files, and emails scattered everywhere, you have a centralized system that tracks every piece of evidence, every witness, every timeline, every connection. It's the difference between being a solo detective with a messy desk and being the FBI with unlimited organizational resources. CaseMap is the gold standard for organizing complex investigations. It doesn't analyze data, it organizes everything else: documents, testimonies, timelines, legal issues, key players. Everything is hyperlinked, searchable, and connected. Working on a fraud case with 10,000 documents, CaseMap makes them manageable. Need to know every time the CFO is mentioned? Instant search. Want to see all events from March 2023? One-click timeline. One investigator said CaseMap turned a 5-year investigation into a 2-year conviction because everything was organized and accessible. TimeMap creates visual timelines that make complex fraud schemes understandable. Instead of explaining that A happened, then B, then C, you show it. The timeline becomes a storyboard for crime, showing how small actions built into massive fraud. DepRep prepares witnesses by organizing everything they need to know, showing them documents they'll be asked about, and tracking their testimony preparation. One case involved 47 witnesses over 18 months. The case management software ensured everyone told consistent, truthful stories. Without it, the defense would have found contradictions. With it, the prosecution was flawless. The CSI effect. When TV meets reality. Managing expectations. The CSI effect is real. Juries expect digital forensics to be like TV, where everything is recovered instantly, enhanced dramatically, and presented perfectly. They think we can enhance grainy photos into HD, recover data from computers thrown into volcanoes, and trace any transaction to its source in seconds. Managing these expectations while delivering real forensic evidence is like being a magician who has to explain that magic isn't real, while still amazing the audience. Real digital forensics is both more boring and more powerful than TV shows suggest. We can't enhance photos beyond their original resolution, but we can recover deleted photos the suspect forgot existed. We can't trace Bitcoin transactions to physical addresses instantly, but we can follow blockchain patterns to exchanges where criminals convert to cash. We can't crack military encryption in minutes, but we can find passwords written in draft emails or stored in browser autocomplete. Reality is less dramatic but more effective. The key is education during testimony. Explain what's possible and what's Hollywood. Show the actual process, not the TV version. Demonstrate the tools, don't just claim they work. One expert witness brings a laptop to court and performs live demonstrations of data recovery. Seeing actual deleted files being recovered in real time is more powerful than any CSI episode. Another expert shows the jury exactly how they traced financial transactions, step by step, making them part of the investigation. When juries understand the real process, they trust the real evidence. Metadata. The hidden story in every file. Digital DNA. Metadata is the DNA of digital files containing information that users don't even know exists. Every document, email, photo, and file contains metadata that tells stories about creation, modification, access, and sometimes fraud. It's like files are keeping diaries about themselves, documenting everything that happens to them. Criminals never think to check metadata, which makes it beautiful evidence. Document metadata reveals authorship, creation date, modification history, software used, and sometimes previous versions. That contract dated 2019. The metadata shows it was created in 2023. That email supposedly sent at 9 a.m. Metadata shows 9 p.m. after the fraud was discovered. That photo proving someone's alibi? EXIF data shows it was taken 3 days later. One case collapsed when metadata revealed that contemporary documents were all created the night before trial. The suspect literally spent all night manufacturing evidence, not realizing each document contained proof of its own forgery. But metadata goes deeper than just timestamps. It can reveal company names in personal documents, proving moonlighting, GPS coordinates in photos, destroying alibis, previous authors, showing document theft, and even emotional states through revision patterns. One investigation found fraud because metadata showed certain reports were revised 47 times, while normal reports averaged 3 revisions. The excessive revisions indicated someone struggling to hide something. They were. Metadata doesn't lie, even when everything else does. Cloud Forensics Crime Scene in the Sky, Investigating the Invisible. Cloud forensics is like investigating a crime scene that exists everywhere and nowhere simultaneously. When data lives in the cloud, it's not on a physical computer you can seize. It's distributed across servers worldwide, synchronized across devices, and constantly changing. Investigating cloud-stored fraud is like trying to catch smoke. You need different tools and techniques than traditional forensics. The challenge with cloud forensics is jurisdiction and access. The Google Drive account might have servers in Ireland, backup in Singapore, and caching in Canada. Which country's laws apply? Who issues the warrant? How do you preserve evidence that updates in real time? One investigation nearly failed because by the time they got access to cloud storage, automatic synchronization had overwritten crucial evidence. Now investigators know to immediately send preservation letters to cloud providers, forcing them to snapshot data before it changes. But cloud storage is also a goldmine for investigators because users trust it too much. They store everything in the cloud thinking it's private, not realizing that cloud providers can be subpoenaed. Deleted files get moved to trash folders that persist for 30 days. Version history shows every change to documents. Sharing history reveals collaborators. One embezzler stored their entire fraud scheme in Google Drive, including spreadsheets calculating how much they could steal without detection. They shared it with their accomplice, creating perfect evidence of conspiracy. The cloud remembers everything, even what users think they've forgotten. Mobile forensics, your phone knows your crimes. Pocket witnesses. Your smartphone knows more about you than your best friend, and it's willing to testify against you. Mobile forensics extracts data from phones that users think is private. Messages, photos, apps, location history, and even deleted data. It's like having a surveillance device that criminals voluntarily carry everywhere, documenting their crimes in real time. The phone that helps you commit fraud also helps us catch you. Modern phones are computers that happen to make calls, and they store everything. Text messages discussing fraud schemes, photos of falsified documents, banking apps showing illicit transfers, GPS data destroying alibis, and even health data showing stress levels during crimes. One fraudster claimed they were homesick during a crucial meeting where fraud was planned. Their iPhone's health app showed 10,000 steps that day, including climbing 20 floors. The meeting was on the 20th floor. Their own phone testified against them. But mobile forensics goes beyond the obvious. Apps leave traces even after deletion. Encrypted messaging apps like Signal and WhatsApp can be recovered from backups. Dating apps reveal secret relationships that explain financial motivations. Even calculator apps that look innocent are sometimes disguised apps for hiding evidence. One investigation cracked when forensics revealed a calculator app was actually a hidden folder containing photos of original invoices before they were altered. The criminal's phone contained both the crime and the evidence, like keeping both the murder weapon and the victim's body in your pocket. Database forensics, where big fraud hides. Mining for digital gold. Database forensics is where you find industrial-scale fraud, because databases are where industrial-scale money lives. We're not talking about Excel files anymore. We're talking about Oracle, SQL Server, SAP systems that run entire corporations. This is where million-dollar frauds hide in billion-dollar data sets. If individual file forensics is looking for needles in haystacks, database forensics is looking for specific needles in needle factories. The complexity of database forensics is that databases are living organisms, constantly changing, with thousands of tables, millions of relationships, and billions of records. You can't just copy a database like a file. You need to understand schemas, relationships, stored procedures, triggers, and transaction logs. One investigator described it as performing surgery on a patient who's running a marathon. You're examining something that's actively changing while you examine it, but databases also maintain detailed logs that criminals don't know exist. Transaction logs show every change, who made it, when, and from where. Audit trails capture before and after values. Backup files preserve historical states. One fraud was detected by comparing production databases to backups, revealing that someone was retroactively changing historical data to hide theft. They thought they were covering tracks, but database logs recorded every cover-up attempt. The logs became a timeline of crime, showing not just what was stolen, but every attempt to hide it. Blockchain forensics, following the invisible money. Cryptocurrency isn't anonymous. Everyone thinks cryptocurrency is anonymous and untraceable, which is hilarious because blockchain is literally a public ledger of every transaction ever made. It's like thinking you're invisible because you're wearing sunglasses. Blockchain forensics has become one of the hottest fields in digital investigation because criminals think crypto protects them when it actually exposes them permanently. The blockchain records everything. Every wallet address, every transaction amount, every timestamp, every connection between addresses. Once we identify one wallet as yours, we can follow every transaction you've ever made. It's like financial DNA that you can't change or delete. One money launderer thought tumbling services, mixing coins, would hide their trail. We traced the funds through 47 different wallets and mixing services, ultimately tracking them to an exchange where they converted to cash. The exchange had KYC records. Anonymous became identified. Tools like Chainalysis and CipherTrace turned blockchain data into visual maps of criminal money flow. They identify exchange addresses, mixing services, and known criminal wallets. They can even identify behavioral patterns that link different wallets to the same user. One investigation identified a fraudster because they always transacted in amounts ending in .777, their lucky number. That quirk connected 15 different wallets to one person. The permanence of blockchain means evidence exists forever. Crimes from 2015 are being solved with techniques invented in 2024. Social media intelligence, when criminals post their confessions. Digital bragging rights. Social media intelligence, SOCMINT, is like having criminals live stream their crimes while providing commentary. People document everything on social media, their locations, relationships, purchases, and sometimes their actual crimes. It's voluntary surveillance that would make Big Brother jealous. Criminals who are careful everywhere else become careless on Instagram, thinking likes are worth more than freedom. The beauty of social media for investigators is that people tell different lies to different audiences. Their LinkedIn says they're a consultant, while their Facebook shows them unemployed. Their Instagram shows luxury purchases, while their tax returns claim poverty. Their Twitter arguments reveal relationships they deny in court. One executive claimed no connection to a vendor, but Facebook showed them as brothers-in-law who vacation together annually. Social media connected what testimony denied. But SOCMINT goes beyond public posts. Deleted posts can be recovered through archives and caches. Private messages can be subpoenaed. Metadata in photos reveals locations and times. Even privacy settings tell stories. Why did someone suddenly go private the day after fraud was discovered? One fraudster's downfall was a private Instagram where they documented every purchase made with stolen money, thinking private meant invisible. It didn't. The account became Exhibit A through Z in their trial. IoT forensics, when your toaster testifies, the connected crime scene. Internet of Things, IoT, forensics is the newest frontier where your smart home becomes a witness against you. Smart speakers recording conversations, smart TVs logging viewing habits, smart thermostats showing when you're home, smart cars tracking where you go. The connected home is a connected crime scene, and most criminals don't even know these devices are collecting evidence. The creepy part, or beautiful part for investigators, is how much these devices record. Amazon Echo records and stores audio clips. Smart doorbells record everyone who visits. Fitness trackers record activity levels and locations. One fraud investigation broke open when a suspect's Fitbit data showed they were at the office at 2 a.m. when fraudulent transactions were processed, despite claiming they were home asleep. Their own fitness tracker destroyed their alibi. But IoT forensics is challenging because every device is different, with different storage, different formats, different extraction methods. There's no universal tool for IoT forensics yet. Investigators need to understand each device individually. One case required extracting data from a smart refrigerator that logged every time it was opened. The timestamp corresponded exactly with security footage of the suspect in the building. Even appliances are snitches now. The future of forensics is everything testifying against everyone. Network forensics, tracking the digital trail. Packet analysis for fraud. Network forensics is like having security cameras for data traffic, recording every packet that flows through corporate networks. While file forensics looks at what exists, network forensics looks at what moved, what was accessed, what was transferred, what was deleted, and who did it all. It's the difference between finding footprints and actually watching someone walk. Network logs capture everything: IP addresses, MAC addresses, ports, protocols, and payloads. That employee who claims they never accessed the financial system? Network logs show 847 connections from their workstation. That vendor who says they never received payment? Logs show successful transfer confirmations. That ransomware that encrypted everything? Logs show patient zero and how it spread. One investigation used network forensics to prove that a hack was actually an inside job. The attack originated from the CFO's laptop during lunch when they claimed to be out. Tools like Wireshark and Network Miner turn packet captures into readable evidence. They can reconstruct file transfers, extract credentials, and even replay network sessions like watching recorded video. One fraudster thought using corporate VPN would hide their activity. Network forensics showed them accessing personal banking sites through the company VPN during work hours, correlating exactly with fraudulent transfers. The network sees all, records all, and with the right tools, reveals all. Anti-forensics, when criminals fight back, the arms race. Anti-forensics is the dark art of preventing or sabotaging digital investigation. Criminals aren't just committing fraud anymore. They're actively trying to prevent detection using encryption, steganography, data destruction, and trail obfuscation. It's like criminals learning counter-surveillance while committing crimes. The arms race between forensics and anti-forensics drives innovation on both sides. Common anti-forensic techniques include encryption, TrueCrypt, VeraCrypt, secure deletion, DBAN, BleachBit, steganography, hiding data and images, and timestamp manipulation. One fraudster ran BleachBit every night, thinking it made them investigation-proof. What they didn't know is that the act of running BleachBit creates its own logs, and we recovered their fraud data from cloud backups they forgot existed. Anti-forensics often creates more evidence than it destroys, but some anti-forensics is sophisticated. Hidden operating systems that boot into different environments based on passwords entered. malware that destroys evidence when forensic tools are detected, dead man's switches that wipe data if not reset regularly. One suspect had a USB drive that would wipe itself if removed from their computer for more than 60 seconds. We cloned it while it was still connected. The key to defeating anti-forensics is understanding it better than criminals do. Every anti-forensic technique has a counter-technique. You just need to know more than they do. Legal considerations, making digital evidence stick, the rules of engagement. Digital evidence faces unique legal challenges that don't exist with physical evidence. Questions of authenticity, chain of custody, privacy rights, and cross-border jurisdiction can destroy your case faster than any anti-forensic tool. Knowing the law is as important as knowing the technology. You can be the best digital forensic examiner in the world, but if you don't follow legal requirements, you're just a very skilled person finding inadmissible evidence. The Fourth Amendment applies to digital searches, sometimes in unexpected ways. Password-protected files might require separate warrants. Cloud storage might require different legal process than local storage. Biometric unlocking, fingerprint, face, has different legal protections than passwords. One investigation failed because investigators accessed a phone with the suspect's face while they were unconscious. The court ruled it violated Fifth Amendment protections against self-incrimination. International investigations add layers of complexity. Different countries have different privacy laws, data protection regulations, and legal processes. GDPR in Europe, data localization laws in Russia and China, and varying mutual legal assistance treaties, MLATs, make cross-border investigations challenging. One fraud investigation took 3 years just to get legal access to email servers in Germany. By then, retention policies had deleted the evidence. Understanding legal requirements isn't optional, it's essential. Quantum computing, the future threat and opportunity, tomorrow's challenges. Quantum computing is coming, and it's going to break everything we know about digital forensics and security. Current encryption that would take classical computers millions of years to break could be broken by quantum computers in hours. But quantum computing isn't just a threat, it's also an opportunity for forensic capabilities we can barely imagine. It's like nuclear technology, dangerous in the wrong hands, powerful in the right ones. Quantum computers will break RSA encryption, potentially exposing every encrypted file ever created. That evidence you couldn't access because of encryption? Quantum computers might unlock it retroactively, but quantum computing will also enable quantum encryption that's theoretically unbreakable. The race between quantum offense and quantum defense will define the future of digital forensics. One expert described it as the Y2K problem if Y2K could actually end the world. But quantum computing also promises forensic capabilities beyond current imagination. Pattern recognition across impossibly large data sets, real-time analysis of entire corporate networks, predictive modeling that identifies fraud before it happens. One research team is using quantum algorithms to analyze blockchain transactions 10,000 times faster than classical computers. The future of forensics might be catching criminals before they know they're criminals. Start learning about quantum computing now, because in 10 years it won't be science fiction anymore. AI in forensics, your digital partner, augmented investigation. AI in forensics isn't replacing investigators, it's giving them superpowers. Machine learning algorithms can analyze millions of documents in seconds, find patterns humans would never see, and predict where evidence likely exists. It's like having Sherlock Holmes's deduction abilities combined with a supercomputer's processing power. AI doesn't replace human judgment, it amplifies it exponentially. Current AI applications in forensics are already revolutionary. Natural language processing analyzes communications for deception indicators. Computer vision identifies altered documents and deepfakes. Predictive analytics identifies high-risk transactions before they're investigated. One AI system analyzed 10 years of email and identified the exact weak fraud began based on communication pattern changes. It would have taken human investigators years to find what AI found in minutes. The future is even more promising. AI that can reconstruct deleted data better than current tools. AI that can break encryption through pattern analysis. AI that can identify criminals by their typing patterns, writing style, or even code structure. One prototype system can identify programmers by their coding style with 97% accuracy. Imagine identifying the fraud perpetrator just by how they write Excel formulas. AI isn't just changing forensics, it's revolutionizing it. Building your digital forensics skill set, from novice to expert. Building digital forensics skills is like learning multiple languages simultaneously: the language of technology, law, accounting, and investigation. You can't just be good with computers or good with numbers. You need to be fluent in both, plus understand legal procedures and investigative techniques. But here's the good news. These skills are so rare and valuable that mastering even basics makes you marketable. Start with certifications that matter: Certified Computer Examiner, CCE, In-Case Certified Examiner, NCE, Certified Forensic Computer Examiner, CFCE, and for the ambitious SANS certifications. But certifications without practice are just expensive paper. Build a home lab, old computers, forensic software, lots of open source options, and practice cases, image drives, recover deleted files, analyze network traffic. One student built their entire forensic lab for $500 using equipment from eBay and free software. The real learning happens in practice. Volunteer for IT audits, join cybersecurity clubs, participate in CTF, capture the flag competitions, work with law enforcement on digital evidence. Many departments need volunteers. Every investigation teaches you something new. One practitioner said, "My first case took 100 hours for what now takes me 10 minutes. Experience compounds exponentially. Start building it now." Career paths, your digital future. Six-figure opportunities everywhere. Digital forensics careers are exploding faster than cryptocurrency values in 2017. Every company needs digital forensics. Every law enforcement agency, every law firm, every accounting firm. The demand far exceeds supply, which means you can name your price if you have the skills. We're talking starting salaries of $85,000 and senior positions over $200,000. Learn to code and investigate, $300,000 plus. Government positions offer stability and purpose. FBI computer forensics specialists start at grade 7, $12,000, and go to grade 15, $172,000. NSA, CIA, and DHS all hire digital forensics experts. State and local law enforcement need digital evidence specialists. The mission-driven work and federal benefits are attractive, plus you get to say you work for three-letter agencies. Private sector pays more and offers more variety. Big Four firms pay $150,000 plus for senior digital forensics consultants. Incident response firms pay $200,000 plus for experienced investigators. Tech companies pay even more to protect themselves. But the real money is in expert witness work, $500 to $1,500 per hour for testimony. One expert made $1 million in a single year just from expert witness work. Your expertise becomes your empire. Your digital forensics journey starts now, from theory to practice. This is it, the moment where you decide if you're going to be disrupted by technology or become the disruptor. Every technique we've discussed, every tool we've covered, every skill we've examined is accessible to you right now. The only barrier between you and a six-figure career in digital forensics is the willingness to start. Not tomorrow, not after graduation, but today. In the next 24 hours, download Autopsy, free open-source forensic software. Create a test disk image using FTK Imager, also free. Recover deleted files from an old USB drive. Start learning Python or PowerShell. Join the SANS Cyber Recon community. Watch DEF CON presentations on YouTube. Read the In-Case Certification Study Guide. Your journey from student to digital detective starts with your first recovered file. Within 30 days, build your home forensics lab, complete an online course in digital forensics, Coursera, Udemy, SANS Cyber Aces. Practice with forensic CTF challenges. Join local HTCIA, High Technology Crime Investigation Association, or InfraGard chapters. Start documenting your learning journey on LinkedIn. Apply for internships in IT audit or incident response. By day 30, you should be comfortable with basic imaging, recovery, and analysis. Within 90 days, complete your first real investigation. Volunteer with local law enforcement on digital evidence. Assist a small business with incident response. Analyze a data breach for a nonprofit. Build a portfolio of your work, sanitized for confidentiality. Start preparing for your first certification exam. By day 90, you're not learning about digital forensics anymore. You're practicing it. Remember, every criminal leaves digital evidence. Every fraud has electronic footprints. Every lie exists somewhere in the data. Your ability to find, preserve, and present that evidence makes you invaluable. While others fear technology replacing them, you're using technology to become irreplaceable. Welcome to the future of forensic accounting. Your digital empire awaits.